What is going on, everyone? It's time for another edition of DDP Snake Pit here on Podcast Heat and adfreeshows.com. I'm John Alba, and as I am every week, I'm joined by the two bona fide Hall of Fame studs. First, Jake the Snake Roberts. Snake, what's cooking, man?
It's all good, man. Every page I turn just looks better and better.
I love that attitude, man. Great stuff. And that attitude, well, it's aided by standing next to the power of positivity himself, Mr. Diamond Dallas Page. He's unstoppable, and he's with us here on DDP Snake Pit. Dallas, what's going on?
I'm actually looking forward to it, the show today, talking about different Mount Rushmores, because that's become like a thing now. You know,
yeah, it's a thing, but it's way overrated.
Well, you know, there's so many guys that you need to really do it right.
Oh,
You need about another 6 more guys at least,
yeah.
you know, up there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always put like who my 4 would be in this category, that category. And sometimes I've got an extra 1 or 2 just because it's too hard to
It's
do
too hard to
you
keep
know?
certain guys out.
Yeah. And again, it's just like what's your personal though?
Yeah,
you know?
that's the whole thing.
that's
It's
really
what
what it is.
whatever you've been fed, you're going to take the choice here and go with that.
Yeah,
So,
like guys who these kids who are watching AEW.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be anybody who's not an AEW cat in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's all this is. You know, and so it's
it's
not
a have fun thing.
yeah, it's not a like this person should be there.
It's a chance for us to get to tell you you're wrong.
Well, let's do that here. Let's put things up for debate. We're talking Mount Rushmores today, and we're going to do a bunch of different categories. We'll go through them. I'll give mine. You guys give yours, and let's have a fun conversation here. And let's start with the best workers. The best workers in the history of professional wrestling. Who are on your respective Mount Rushmores?
For me personally, you know, of course, it's going to be the guy to my right, your left, Jake. I loved Jake's storytelling in the ring and believability. Like, people may not have heard this story, but when I wrestled when I was 23 and I hurt my knee after like 3 matches, I sucked. You know, I didn't belong out there, but I was. And I was going to go back, but I got a chance to run a little rock and roll joint, and wrestling became. It wasn't on my way until many years later. I'm flicking the channels and I see Jake, and I'm like, "Who's this guy walking out with the bag over his shoulder? And what's in the bag?" And just the way he walked to the ring was with such conviction. You know, the working starts, you know, when you put your boots on, but when you walk through the curtain, you're on. And he went on, and that's where it starts at. You know, it's like right from that moment on, going to the ring. And then when I saw his work in the ring, I thought, did I miss something? Like it was so believable to me, you know, and that's really what resonated with me, that his stuff was so believable. Then I heard his promos. So again, when I think you say what was the best worker, you know, as far as like who's going to go on that Mount Rushmore thing, my first guy is going to be him.
Thank you.
Because it's the guy that I implemented myself after, and you know, was the #1 stuff I stole from and made it my own, and didn't even realize. And what's funny, still today, I can watch him in a match and go, God, why did I steal that? God, how did I miss that? How did I miss, you know, because there's so many things you're watching when you're trying to figure out who that, you know, who in my case, Diamond Dallas Page was.
Right.
You know, next guy for me is going to definitely be Ric Flair. Ric Flair made me want to watch wrestling after Jake pulled me back in, and made me watch WCW and, you know, and NWA stuff. And, you know, I was blown away by just Rick's believableness in himself. Like, he was the world champion, and nobody, and you know, doing the 60-minute matches they did. And when you really look at how he toured the country, really the world, with that title. And like, can you imagine how many guys really would have wanted to do that? Not many. You know, they all want to carry the strap, but Rick put the work in.
Yeah.
And man, it was like, it didn't, and he made guys, like he made Sting. And Sting will be the first one to tell you that. Like, to get a guy like Ric Flair make you know, my first world championship was Rick took the diamond cutter. it was a really big deal to me
Damn straight.
because Rick could have said no. He could have said no, but he didn't. He did business, and he put me over in the middle, and I thanked him when I went in the Hall of Fame because we weren't ever like the way we are today. I love Ric Flair. We were just all three together down at Matt Mania doing a Ric Flair woo party, and I love the guy today, and we're I consider him a good friend of mine, and we talk occasionally, and we're always texting each other back and forth. But back then we didn't have that relationship, so I didn't really give him the due, like how much it meant to me, and I did when I went in the Hall of Fame. And I think he's one of the greatest ever. Shawn Michaels, I got to put like
He's okay.
Yeah, like you talk about entrances. I see him coming in with that one where he's hooked up and I'm thinking they're bringing him in with that crazy white outfit with the mirrors on it. And I mean, this guy was the every one of these guys, these first three guys, they're completely different, but Shawn Michaels, he's the first guy to break that, that under 6 foot thing and be able to be like Randy was. Randy was I guess Randy was probably the first because Randy wasn't 6 foot.
No.
He was probably 5'11" and a half or 5'11". But Shawn, I'm not sure, he's somewhere around 5'11", 6 foot, but he didn't have to be all jacked up. He had a great body. His work was so believable. He sold like a son of a bitch. He was a great baby face and a heel, and his work in the ring is off the charts. And we talked about this other guy, a couple of weeks back, Eddie Guerrero. I think as far as the working in the ring goes back to when we were doing stuff for AAA Mexico with me and Jake. He was an amazing talent then, and he only got better. And he got to bring out the best in me, and he helped make me a top performer because I could go out there and go with him. And we were having unbelievable 20, 25-minute matches out there. And the boys were talking about him in the back, and it helped elevate me. But his stuff, again, looked so real. How he put it on the line. And then when he gets to the WWE, and then the real Guerrero comes out, and you get to see that he hits every moniker that Jake and Rick and Shawn Michaels did, with charisma and interviewing and just it factor. So like for me personally, like guys, like if I could watch any of their matches, I don't care who they're wrestling, because I know it's going to be a great match, or at least a really good one, because they're going to be great. It'll be those four guys.
Jake, what about yourself?
I haven't got a clue.
Well, what do you think of Dallas's list then?
I think it's interesting. I love the Eddie Guerrero. Flair, you got to give Flair his kudos, man. Nobody worked harder at his character in the ring to go from territory to territory. Your job is to go in and make money in that territory. You're going to be facing their top baby face every night. And you've got to go out there and make this guy. And I remember seeing Ric Flair in Fort Worth, Texas, go to the ring with Kerry Von Erich. And Kerry was so messed up, we had to tie his laces in his boots because he couldn't do it. And they still went to the ring, and Flair drug him around that ring for 35 minutes before he beat. That, to me, was just unbelievable. Because Kerry was, it was so bad that they came out and said that he had some sickness at the time. It was horrible, man. And yeah.
I can remember Ric Flair going out and working with Joey Maggs.
Yeah.
The late, great. I love Joey.
Yeah,
He was amazing. He never got the push.
No.
But everybody loved him. And I watched Flair go out there and do like 15 minutes with him because he liked him.
Yeah.
And when he came back, I don't remember who the booker was at the time, But whoever it was goes, "What the hell are you doing?"
You're making Joey mad.
You know, it's like Rick loved the guy. You know, so did
Yeah.
so did Double A, Arn Anderson, loved the guy. And I did too. All of us did. And it was like Rick could go out there with anybody, and and Joey was a good worker.
You know,
But he go out there and make anybody look great.
I also remember being in the ring myself with Harley Race,
Mm.
and I'd have to put Harley up there because Harley took me when I was green as a gourd in Calgary, much to my, I hated the fact that he did it. Took me through 3-hour Broadways.
3 hour?
Yeah, 1 hour at a time.
Oh,
you know?
okay. You mean 3 nights in a row?
Yeah. Then he came back and took me through 90 minutes.
And for anybody who doesn't know what Broadway is, means there is no winner.
Yeah.
There's no
You
winner.
just keep going.
And to me, I hate those things
I do
because
too.
it leaves the people flat.
Yeah.
You
Then
know?
they came back and had me do 90 minutes with him.
Oh my God.
Then we came back in a no time limit. Thank God he beat me in 20. That was 3 falls too, Well, yeah. But I'd have to put Harley in there. And you look back over the books, man, and you think about a Jack Briscoe. He was so incredibly smooth. My God. He was so believable in everything that he did. And he was a stud, just a real stud, man. But then you come back this way and you think about guys that, depending where you were at, they were the dudes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Danny Hodge, Hiro Matsuda. A lot of people don't even know who these people are.
I'm going to tell a story about Danny Hodge. I'm so bummed. I have the pictures of me and him, but somehow the video is gone. He's got to be late 80s, early 90s. And his hands were like vice grips, right? This is the legend of Danny Hodge. And I had a green apple. And I said, Danny, can you still do it? You see right next to me in the autograph signing. And we got to talking and I said, can you still do it? He goes, of course I can. And he took that. I've got that camera out. I can't believe I lost it. He literally, and that was a hard ass green apple. And with one hand, not moving it like this, in his hand, he broke that apple up and just dropped all the pieces in the garbage can.
When I was a kid, I would ride in the car with my father and Danny Hodge. And Danny, every now and then, would get irritated at my father because they played a game called Zip. These are long road trips. And Zip is a game that you point out a horse. Zip. That's 1 point. And you go to 10. And of course, if you point out a cow or a mule or something like that, you lose all your points. You have to start over. But Danny would get so frustrated because my father would go, and Danny would just go zip. My dad's like, "What are you zipping at? There's nothing over there." And then Danny'd reach over and grab my father by his leg.
Oh God!
And squeeze. And my father would damn near shoot in the back seat with me.
Oh my!
I seen him break the pliers.
Wow!
Just a regular set of pliers, man, and squeeze, and the damn thing would pop. The bolt would go. And this is a guy that looked like he couldn't beat his way out of a wet paper bag. But he was.
That's awesome.
Hey, that's
he was a boxer and a wrestler.
Right, both, right.
When he went back to the WWE, and they were going to help him to the ring because he was like 80 something.
Mid-90s.
They got him up the steps and then he vaulted into the ring. Just for the rim. Just for the rim. He did a vaulted.
I want to give my list here, and I think it's going to be, you can get a good taste for the kind of wrestling I love, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I love sports-centric presentation of professional wrestling. So for me, number one is Bret Hart. I think Bret Hart's the greatest in-ring worker that I've ever seen. Kurt Angle.
Sorry.
Kurt Angle, the intensity that Kurt brought and the realism behind it drew me in every time I watched him.
Yeah.
A modern guy, but I've been watching him for 20 years, is Bryan Danielson. I think Bryan Danielson accentuated everybody that he's ever been in the ring with. And a name that rounds it out for me, and I think you might appreciate this, Jake, is Misawa. I think Misawa is one of the greatest workers of all time. His match with Kawada is maybe one of my favorite professional wrestling matches ever. And I just love that intense physical style in the ring.
Yeah,
I
enjoy the
loved
shove.
working. I loved working with Brett. We had some really great matches, man. When he came to WCW, I know it wasn't his favorite time, but either was mine in WWE as far as my favorite time there. But I loved working with him. We had some great battles for the U.S. Championship. One of my favorite matches, ever. Top 10 matches. I love the match with him and Piper at Mania. Like that was a phenomenal match. Who else did you say?
Misawa, Kurt Angle, and Brian
I don't
Danielson.
really know his work. Brian Danielson, you know how I feel about him.
Yeah.
I think he's the best in the world right now. So yeah. Who else was it?
And Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, God, I love working with Kurt.
Kurt's very, very intense. That's what I love about Kurt.
Yeah, he's first of all believable as hell.
Yeah.
You
I just seen him the other day.
Yeah, man, he's so gifted. He was one of the first guys that really came over from the real wrestling world into it. To me, that really brought the charisma.
Oh, he did.
And the comedy that him and Austin did at one point. That was magic stuff, and to think that, that I saw a picture of him the other day. He looks unbelievable.
He's ripped.
Yeah, man.
Shredded.
Oh God, I love that when he's weighing being that lean. I mean, he's lean.
Like 180.
God, but he looks great, man. And whatever helps his body feel good.
Yeah, he's still having a little problem walking though.
Yeah, well, that's
Wonder what happened.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go. How about the most over? Is that you having your next list?
We can do most over if you'd like. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna start with Hulk.
Okay.
Because Hulk, without question, was one of the biggest money drawers ever, and is over as over could be, and still is, no matter where he goes. Again, I want to go back to Rick. Because, not just being one of the best workers, that cat was over insanely. And I think all the stuff from the 30s on out, friggin' took him like he's as over today, I think, as he's ever been. They're doing his final match that they're going to do. I get he's 73 right now. Yeah. So I'm in the gym working out. So I'm doing some stuff with, oh my God, I can't remember his name.
It was Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, I love that kid.
He's phenomenal.
He does an amazing Ric Flair.
Yes, he does.
And an amazing Savage. And he does amazing Jay Lethal. I love that kid. So Hulk, Rick, Austin, you got to put like at the top, the only reason, if Steve could still been going, and I can't believe how unbelievable he did, and it was a brawl all over the arena, so he didn't have to take a lot of bumps or anything, but he looked phenomenal out there. If he could have kept doing it the whole time, he'd have pulled that Piper spot, where he goes off and does his own thing and then comes back and wrestles. If he didn't take that neck injury, he would have been the biggest draw ever. Like no question. All he didn't have time because I think he had about 6 years or whatever that amount of time was, but it was as impactful as he gets. And I got Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch
Okay.
was over. The dream, man. I mean, I just saw a thing that Cody put up on, I don't know if he put it up, but it looks like it was something like after the match or something, probably a house show or something, and someone's got the camera on it, and he grabs the mic because he sees some guy dressed like his dad. And he's got, remember Dad used to wear like the biker type of cap, and he's got the blonde hair out, and he's a little bit chubby, and he grabs that mic, he walks over the mic, and he says something like, has anybody seen Dusty, American Dream? He puts him over and he hands him the mic, and the guy cuts an awesome promo.
All right.
You know, it was just, I don't know where that they got that, but it just shows you, you know, how over the
Yeah.
American dream
Oh,
will be around forever. You know, Jake Snake Roberts will be around, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, you know, Hulk Hogan. These cats will be around forever. And my fifth most over at this particular time was back then Daniel Bryan, but as Daniel Bryan, you know, it was Bryan Danielson. But back when he was at WWF,
Mhm.
and he has every single person in the building doing the yes. That kid was so over at that point. Did you ever see him? He's up on top of a cage. He had a steel cage, and he's just up there at the end of the show, and the entire building
yeah.
is doing it with him, like
Something so simple.
and they just loved him. And I watched this kid grow in character and become a great interviewer, like reality-based interviewer.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, like amazing. So, you know, I'm not putting him in that spot yet, but he ain't done yet.
Sure.
But he's right there. Like he's right there for a guy who had it up there, and they took it all away because of the concussion stuff. They
Yeah.
took it all away, and he got it back. Realized, okay, I'm never going to really hit that spot again, so I'm going to pull a Cody, and I'm going to go over here. That's another guy. Who knows? You might see that swing shift come back, whatever. Because yeah, I don't know what they're paying him, but he moves the needle for me.
Yeah.
You know, he moves the needle for me. So,
Jake, any of those guys stand out to you?
Oh yeah. Dusty.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived that era when Dusty was in Florida, and could not believe I'm hearing truckers on a CB radio telling other truckers who won the match in West Palm Beach. The Dream did it. The Dream did it. You thought it was goddamn news, man. It was news.
That's awesome.
You know, and just the whole thing, man. And then you watched him, you know, he would leave there and come to New Orleans and work sometime for Watts. And you think, okay, he's over in Florida, but what's he going to do here?
Right.
Shit.
As soon as he got that mic,
He was over. Shit was
as soon as
on.
he got that mic.
The only
As soon
only
as he did
major
that fat man thing where he do the little wiggle and stuff.
little shimmy. The only major omission I'd say there would be The Rock, the biggest star in Hollywood. Every time The Rock looked at the crowd, they'd go nuts.
Yeah, but he wasn't there long enough.
Yeah, he to me, what easy. Hey, dude, let's take him off of this wall. That cat's on the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
He's created. It's like kind of like
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah,
a
he's
great
John Wayne.
example. A great example. Friggin' The Rock is bigger than wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I don't even consider. I consider him a wrestler.
Yeah.
I consider him one of us. He's one of the boys, and couldn't be prouder.
Yeah.
Couldn't be prouder that this cat literally, if he decides to do it, could be the fucking president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
could.
he really could.
Yeah.
And I would never run as a Republican or a Democrat if I was him, because then you turn people against you.
The people's chair.
Right.
The people's
Fucking
president.
A.
He is. He should run to the People's Party, Jake.
You
The,
could do
the
it.
people, I mean, the people's everything.
I was going to do it with Alice Cooper. I was going to run for president. It'd be like my platform was going to be 2 troubled men for troubled times.
Oh, look at that. I like that.
I like that.
That's
I
good.
like that. But really, The Rock, and it's been kidded around about, but I'll guarantee you, whether he ever does it or not, which I would never want that
No.
job.
Oh God,
No.
no.
I would never want that job. But the first, I mean, watching The Rock grow, you know, in wrestling was really amazing. But when I saw him do this first Saturday Night Live that he did when he hosted it, he was so magic. I knew he was a different level of performer.
Yeah.
Just like when I saw Cena do the ESPYs, which is even way harder because, and he called it right out, the elephant in the room, a wrestler hosting the ESPYs. He was phenomenal. And I knew right there that cat, and by watching, and then you look at Batista too. Like these guys have made a monster impact in the world of entertainment.
I was going to ask you about Cena. Is he in that conversation for most over too?
I would say that he's right there. He's not to where those four guys are, but he's right there. He's right there. He carried that company on his back through a time, that he was really the guy. I think he's a greater territory. It was a great interview. He'll even say I wasn't a great. I saw him doing this thing on Instagram with this little old lady, and he's interviewing her, talking to her back and forth. He's got a suit on and shit. And he said something about you can't, I do this little dance, you can't see me. And they went back and forth, and then she goes, you can't see me. And he goes, oh, you should do, you could be here. She goes, I can't wrestle. He goes, well, some people say that about me. Just the way he said it was just so funny. And I never thought that. I thought that guy goes out there and breaks his ass. I never understood the Cena sucks chants. Not when someone was going out there and breaking their ass like that kid did. I never understood it, and I didn't like it,
I didn't either.
But bottom line
I'm
is
sure he didn't either.
Yeah. But he kept with it because he could have turned heel just like The Rock did and flipped it all. But there's certain guys. Dusty was not going to be a heel after he'd already been one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I look back at my career, either should I. But you learn, by sitting back. I learned off everything off my mistakes. All right. So Jake, what else do you think about my most over list?
I don't know, man. I think they're great. They're great, bro.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's go to
what's
best.
Yours?
Mine. I'm pretty much with you. The only one is I would probably put The Rock there personally because I just look at The Rock every time he's out there. Even 2000, you go watch a Raw from 2000. The Rock goes in there, he stands in the ring, and people are just going nuts. He doesn't have to say anything. They're losing their minds just looking at him.
Again, I put him on a different level. He's got his
fair.
own mount.
That's
fair. He's got a mount. It's a whole body shot.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else up there.
And
I agree.
That's the only reason I don't put him on that list
It's not
because
fair.
he's bigger than that.
That's
fair.
Not fair.
He's the biggest.
I get that.
Star in the world.
Let's do best tag teams. The Mount Rushmore of tag teams. I love this question. I actually just asked Matt Hardy this question the other day, and I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are.
Oh my God! Now we're gonna have a fight.
Let's hear it.
I'll give you mine. Arn and Tully.
Sure.
Love those guys because that to me they were really it was a real match, and I watched them and they got heat. Like I love watching them. I love Christian and Edge. I thought they were magic out there. Hart Foundation. Really love those guys together with Jimmy Hart and the whole deal. And I'm gonna go back to the Valiant brothers.
I like that. Good pick.
Handsome Jimmy and Johnny Valiant. And I gotta have five of them and the Hardy brothers, man. I love those guys, man. Those guys, between Edge and Christian and if you go back and look, they did a lot of high impact shit. But they also they were slowed down. They took their time and they got the people involved insanely. Like those matches were insane. So that's my 4 or 5.
Jake, what do you think about that?
Number 1, FDR.
Hell yeah.
Without a doubt. They are so friggin' believable.
Smooth.
They are so, oh my God, they're intense. They're tough. They make you earn it, but they give it to you when it's time. Those guys, those cats are smart, man. They could take the blind and teach them how to see. I'm telling you, they could. The Hardy Boys, okay, but I think I'm going to go with the Rock and Roll Express.
Oh wow, yeah, okay, I forgot about that. Make that number. Put them on that list too.
Yeah.
Put that. How did I forget that?
Rock and Roll Express would have to be number 2 for me. From there, it kind of, there's so many different things that could happen. And I'm going to go back to the Assassins, you know.
Thought about that.
Grab those guys.
Jody Hamilton, his brother Lawler.
Yeah. They were just so friggin', oh God, they were smooth and they were good. And they had heat. They had real heat. Really.
With hoods.
Yeah, with hoods. Those sorry sons of bitches. Because I used to ride in the car with my father begging him not to wrestle those Assassins anymore. Not knowing the 2 guys sitting beside me in the back seat are the Assassins. And they're saying, kid, tell your dad not to wrestle him. They're going to kill him. Yeah, Dad, they even said they're going to. And then I'd say, oh, I got mad. I called one of them bastards one time. And my dad chewed my ass out. And then to find out 15 years later, the truth. Oh, my God. I went to Jody Hamilton when I went to Atlanta. And I said, God, I'm so sorry I hated you the way I did. He said, son, we loved having you in the car. You were so much fun to torque up. Thanks, man.
That's the first time I had seen Jake after years from the club business. I was down the power plant and Jody ran the power plant, you know, and I hear Paige and I turn around and I go, Jake. He goes, man, because you don't know. If you don't know someone in particular, like why would he ever have thought that I would into wrestling? Because we never talked about that. You know, and then all of a sudden I'm doing the Diamond Dallas Page manager thing, and then actually wrestling down the power plant. And that's when Jake came in.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the Hardys are one of the reasons I watch wrestling, and I host Matt Hardy's podcast. So I'm a little biased on that, but the Hardys are up there for me.
Now the truth comes out.
I'm a little biased.
You have a right to be. They're great. They're fucking great.
The Rock and Roll Express for sure. The Brain Busters, Arn and Tully. And then a name that neither of you guys mentioned, and I think you could put them in the most over category too, the Road Warriors, the Road Warrior pop. Everyone talks about that. Some honorable mentions, the Dudley Boys, one of the most decorated tag teams ever. Edge and Christian. I'm with you on Edge and Christian, and I'm with you on FTR. Love those picks. Any thoughts on the Road Warriors, guys?
Well, I think they changed
What a business.
Yeah, it was, you know, they were like the Giant. They were like Andre the Giant. Like when they showed up, they were an attraction.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, still today you see guys in any football game, you're going to see the spikes coming out of the shoulder pads. I would love to know who actually came up with that idea.
Then the Zubas.
Zuba pads.
God, those damn things are ugly.
Oh God, we all wore them.
Yeah, we did. They were free.
You just stopped wearing them like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I still got them at home.
I love the Road Warriors, man. But you know, the matches when you really talk about Rock and Roll Express, and you know they again sometimes this list is way too small.
And Dennis Convery and Bobby Eaton were no slouches.
Phenomenal. But back over to the Road Warriors with the Rock and Roll. Now, you look at those two tag teams before they walk out there, and you're thinking, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, no. But they had the people tearing their hair out.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it was like they were like the Beatles to a certain degree for a while there. You know, bringing Ricky and Robert, you know, two good-looking kids who had a lot of charisma and could work their asses off and sell. Like that goes back to what we're talking about. Sell. Like these guys, you know, they weren't even muscular. They were just, you know, they were guys who could go, you know, go out there and do a thing, but they sold like crazy and the fans would go crazy. You think Road Warriors, because they went through a lot of guys, but they went out there and put time in with those cats.
Yeah.
And they made them look like
believable.
Yeah.
Godzilla. They have a chance to win.
And the Rock and Roll Express are still out there kicking ass today. So
that blows my mind.
God.
If everyone had told me, I thought, but you know, it's just amazing. It amazes me. I love both of those guys, and it just blows my mind that they're still going. And it's kind of they have the same blood in them that Bullet Bob Armstrong
Oh
had
God.
in him. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so happy that he went in that Hall of Fame, man.
I'm with you.
You know, the boys bringing him out there, man. The Bullet boy, he was a special cat. You know, he was like
man.
the classiest cat in the room, man.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't even have to know him that well. By the time you walked over and started talking to him, you knew who he was.
Yeah.
You know, he was a solid. All those Armstrong boys were great.
Let's do a fun one here, and I can't wait to hear Jake's thoughts on this. The greatest heels, the Mount Rushmore of greatest heels in professional wrestling.
Again, I'm going to put Jake on that list.
I agree. I agree.
I'm definitely going to put Jake on that list.
Ugh.
And just for the fact that, you know, the reality-based shit. And I've got, if you watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake, you will see one of the greatest wrestlers ever who could be on some of these lists right here without question. Adam Copeland, the one and only Edge. And Edge said, I mean, he scared me. Like, you know, this is a kid who loved wrestling. He's scared to death of Jake Snake Roberts as a kid, and understandably so. I think maybe the greatest heel ever, and Dusty and I used to talk about this all the time. Vince.
Yeah.
Greatest heel ever.
Yeah.
You know, and could took to a baby face at 10 o'clock and back to a heel at 11.
He's a great worker.
You know,
He's still doing it.
you know, he could do it. I think Mach was a great heel, especially when he was with Liz before the shift.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter. Oh my God. The heat that Sarge had.
God.
And we're talking about another big man
Yeah.
who could go. I mean, that son of a bitch.
He can move, bro.
Boy, he moved like a cat. He's 6'4" and 280 pounds at least. And I got a few more of a Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Piper's there.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
I'm going to throw on the first ever heel who really made an impact, Gorgeous George.
Love that.
Gorgeous George demanded from legend that I've heard, demanded 25% of the gate. Of the gate.
I love that, man.
You know, I mean, who else did that? Satchel Paige back in the Negro Leagues demanded 25% of the gate. Satchel Paige is one of those heroes of mine.
Yeah.
You know, from just studying, and because I always look for someone who really inspired me. And Jackie Robinson changed the world when they brought him in to be the first black player. But
Satchel
it pissed
Paige.
the hell out of Satchel Paige.
Damn right.
Because
Should have been him.
should have been him, but it couldn't have been him because Satchel Paige was a very proud cat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you weren't going to get away with
Talking
saying
shit.
to the shit that
Yeah.
they were about to say to Jackie.
Yeah.
Like, I think it said in his contract, legend. I always say legend because I haven't seen it, but I've heard it, that if you got spit on, you couldn't do anything. You had no record, nothing. Like, didn't matter what they said to you. Like, you had to be the most special cat ever. Like, I don't know how many guys could have played that role and been that good. You know, but Satchel, I mean, I love watching different movies about him and stories about him. He was an unbelievable player.
I had the opportunity to meet Marion Motley, the first black football player.
No kidding.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I knew that name.
I was talking to him and I said, man, how bad was it? He goes, man, he said, God damn, he said, they'd tackle my ass and then they'd be twisting
Punching
my
you.
nuts and raking my eyes. I'm like, no shit. He goes, yeah, and those were my teammates. The other guys were really bad.
Man. Yeah, and Satchel Paige, he's like the Ricky Morton too of his era. He pitched forever. He kept going and going and going. And
He was when he came back, I want to say
Six-
40,
47, something like that.
47, something. I can't remember the
Yeah.
exact age it was, but that year he helped the Indians win the World Series,
Yeah.
and he was 6-1 for the year.
Yeah.
And then they brought him out when he was like 60 or something.
Yep.
Just to see, just pitch one inning.
Could you do
and
it?
Friggin', and no
He
hits.
did it.
You know?
He's sort of like Nolan Ryan went to Japan to throw out the first ball of the year. It was 94 miles an hour. He's 60 something.
Oh,
Insane.
You know?
Absolutely insane.
that's Ric Flair freak shit.
Yeah.
Look, I could talk baseball with you guys all day. I got the 98 Yankees behind me. I could talk baseball all day
Sorry
long,
about
but
your luck.
that's another podcast.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, man. I think those are all great. Roddy Piper was the first one that came to mind for me. You
The
talk about
Yankees are great Eagles.
Yes, they are. They certainly are, especially those teams. They were great heels. But yeah, man.
Roddy. I, how many times did he get stabbed? Had to be a number of times, and shot at. Because Roddy, yeah, and it's kind of like if MJF was doing what he was doing today, back then, he would be killed.
Yeah.
He'd be killed.
Yeah.
But he's like MJF is the closest to me to the Roddy
Yeah.
for the shit that he says, and then he won't play like I talked to him the other day, and he was very thankful for the podcast, and we were very nice to him about. But it's easy to be talking good about him. If he wasn't doing shit, we wouldn't be talking about him.
You got that right.
You know. But
just because we're talking about you does not mean we like you.
and he'd appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I just love like I always say, the commitment. Rowdy Piper was so amazing. You want to know when me and him really got close, Jake? When he was helping me give me that push, giving, what we call the friggin' rub.
Yeah.
And, I got it from Luger. I got it from Big Show, at the time Giant. I got it from Sting. And then I get it from Roddy Piper. And we're leaving.
Moment.
We climb up. We're both dressed as Sting. And when we take the shit off, they realize it's me and Piper Place like crazy. We just clean house. And I said, Roddy, when I leave, I go through the people. Do you want to come with me? I don't want to just leave you there. You go through the people, do you? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, all right. Well, he ain't never been in a crowd.
No.
And Roddy was an amazing social person with people he wanted to be social with, but he wasn't like a person that could go out in that crowd, people coming in and being super nice and gracious, everyone amazing. But when bringing the crowd, he'd been stabbed in the crowd.
Yeah.
He's got PTSD from going in the crowd. So I go over the railing. Here he comes. I help him over the railing, and we start going through. And as we're going through, people are trying to touch us, but they're coming through like
slapping. That hurts.
Ooh,
That
they
shit
just
hurts,
want to
man.
touch you, and it stings.
Yeah.
And we've got cops with us taking us through this path, and we're running through and going crazy. And at some point, he looks up at me and he goes, "You do this every night, do you?" I said, every night, Roddy. He goes, "God bless you." And he took off like a bat out of hell.
Left you.
He wasn't doing the work and run. He was running for his life. And where we really got tight was when I started doing this. Roddy is one of the original podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the very first guys to start doing podcasting. And when we were doing our thing, Jake, and he was seeing Jake Roberts go through the change.
Yeah.
It touched his heart.
It did, man.
It did, boy. It did.
He sent me, one of my children got him to send me a birthday wish. It was right before he died.
Oh, wow.
And he's standing out at his place and he's looking out at the mountains. He's like telling me how grateful for our time together and for what we shared, because we had some real dark talks back in the day. And being so open to talk about them, because he went through quite a rough upbringing on the streets, living on the streets in Saskatoon at 13, 14 years old, and being, all sorts of horrible things happening to him. And then he started talking about Jake. We just got to keep walking towards the light. Can you see the light, Jake? It's back there in the mountains. I'm following that light. And then 3 days later, he's dead.
Wow.
And that thing, I've got it still. And it is so spooky to watch. I love Rod.
Oh, I love it
You
too.
know, and we had a connection, man, because of the childhood abuse.
Yeah.
And stuff. But he was an incredible worker. I used to watch him and Wahoo go out there. Holy shit.
He was a tough son of a
Wahoo,
bitch,
how
too.
Wahoo would chop the shit out of him. And he'd
God.
make blood blisters in the first 10 minutes. And the next 10 minutes, he'd bust them. And Roddy would come back and his chest would just be ragged flesh.
I,
And it was just amazing.
Wahoo had a hand like a
Oh.
catcher's mitt. Like, I mean, it was besides Blackjack Mulligan, who
Oh,
was
God.
another great big man.
Yep.
Great man. Those two guys had his biggest hands are bigger than Big Show's. And Big
Wow.
Show's got a monster hand. Big Show hit me with one chop, I go down. That's all you're getting.
That's all you're
You have
getting.
to pick me up and hold me there and hit me again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going down and I'm going to sell.
Yeah. You'll never get me
Exactly.
off the mat. I will drape my legs around the ropes. I will.
But back to Roddy one more time. When he saw the resurrection of Jake the Snake, and he heard already what we were doing, showed him stuff. He saw the disabled veteran stuff. Man, we bonded so tight. You know, I was there when they did his memorial at the comedy
Oh,
club
God.
in L.A. and his beautiful daughter Ariel. They've got a great family. You know, all the way around. I'll miss the hell out of him. But what a great heel!
Oh, God.
What a great heel!
He's somebody everybody wanted to kill.
Yeah. Oh,
we,
Vince too.
we got 5 more minutes here, guys, and I would be so remiss if we did not talk about this last Mount Rushmore here. And I don't even know if it was on our plan notes, but I'm talking to one of the greatest promos of all time right now, and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh,
You're on my
man.
Mount Rushmore of greatest promos, so I want to hear your Mount Rushmore of greatest promos. Who
Oh,
does
Piper.
Jake Roberts
Yep.
think is up there?
Piper.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. Flair.
Flair
When he's
absolutely.
on and he's doing a serious one. Yeah.
And Dusty.
Dusty.
There you go. Those are my 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
those Jake, Roddy,
Yeah.
Rick, Dusty,
Yeah.
my hand on your hand. I mean, like that's and so many
Yeah.
people can do that
Oh, God.
that promo. And I'll tell you who does it unbelievable, and you would never believe it. Maria Munoz. And how Maria Munoz, did you ever see the match she had at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. How is she not in the Hall of Fame? I mean, first, she's the only celebrity besides Malone and Rodman, I'll put off, that really worked. Well, that's not true. We had a couple since then, but those are 2 guys that stick out to me. But you know, she worked her ass off in that match.
Yeah, Maria Menounos is
And-
badass.
But to hear her do it,
Class act.
I bet when she finally goes in, Vince, Hunter, she needs to go in. She really needs to go in the celebrity ring because she could be
Oh,
a
hell
boat.
yeah.
You know, she worked her ass off in that match. She did a hell of a job. But when she goes up there, the one thing I hope she does is that promo of her talking like Dusty. You know, that was
I'd rock the show with
oh my, the place would go
Yeah.
batshit crazy
Yeah.
because they just wouldn't believe that she could do it
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people. I've only gotten to hang with a couple times, but she is that person you see on TV. She got big heart, good human being, helps out people all the time. She's just one of those great human beings. So who are yours? Is yours deviate off that
Hard
list?
to argue any of those. I think if you're talking greatest promos, you got to include The Rock in there. You got to include Austin in there. I
of
love
course.
listening to CM Punk. I think CM Punk's an outstanding promo,
Yep.
and I think truthfully,
And-
Eddie Kingston Eddie Kingston
Eddie Kingston's a great promo.
he
Sure
grabs
is.
you. He grabs.
Yeah.
It's that intangible that you had, Jake, where he just grabs your attention and it feels so real. And Chris Jericho
it's the
too.
Intensity, it's the intensity he does it with, and it's also the look he gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another level again. Rock's got his own Mount Rushmore.
Chris Jericho's got to be up there too, Dallas.
He could go 20 minutes. He could go 20 minutes and have and the shit that I love that The Rock did was the shit that he did on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Songs he made up that made sense. What he was, the angle that he was in. Again, The Rock is genius at different. Cena, great promo. You know, I mean, again, there should be 10 of these guys.
Yep.
We picked those 4 and just off the top of our head because that's what we kind of
grew up with.
Yeah, and saturated around. But you got to put, you know, again, Austin, unbelievable promos. I mean, Steve Austin, I mean, the whole what thing. That started.
I hated him for that.
It wasn't him though. It was him who got it over. He had told me, and I could be wrong, Steve. So correct me if I'm wrong if you hear this. But I had heard, and I'm almost positive that Christian had called him and left him a message, and then went, "What?" You know, so you can't hear somebody, and he kept going, and he go, "What?" You know, and he kept doing it. And then the next thing you know, Steve's out there doing that promo, and it changed shit.
Changed wrestling.
It just changed shit.
Oh God, it changed shit for every friggin' independent show. You couldn't go out and do a friggin' interview for months.
Oh my God. Wait, the one promo that I did with MJF for that last thing I did when we were doing the whole thing around the ring and everything, and in the middle of me taking a break in between something, everybody started chanting, yoga, yoga. Yeah. And I hate when people call my shit yoga, but I loved it that day because that you could ever have 5 or 10 or whatever amount of people are in that arena. That's why I love the AEW fans. They're so amazing. But chanting yoga, like what are the odds of it? And you see me laughing.
Fucked up.
You see me laughing because everyone who knows me, John,
hates it.
I hate when you DDP yoga. That's why I'm calling it DDPY. Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just fucking yoga. You know, and out of that, it'll keep coming at me, but it's fun. Now I kind of love it. You know, but that was a moment. That was a great moment.
This was a fun one.
Yeah,
well, that's a hell of a promo you just cut right there, Dallas. That's a way to send us out here. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Don't forget Cameo. Check out Jake and DDP there. They're busy. They're rocking and rolling. And they're kicking ass. Gentlemen, thank you so much for this Mount Rushmore episode. Super fun. We'll see you next time here on DDP Snake Pit.
Yeah.
It's been your pleasure, bro.